Someone has left an unidentifiable article of clothing on this railing. It smells really bad. The cloth, if you can still call it that, makes a soft crunching sound as you thrust your finger into it. It's streaked with dried seagull shit and tangled with pieces of seaweed. A dangling arm suggests that there might be a jacket beneath the crust of filth.
Please tell me you're not taking that with you. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to have it returned.
There's some tear, an empty cigarette package, and a crumpled kebab wrapper in the trash bin. 2 empty bottles of Tallulah vodka and a can of black potent porter is all you find.
A tragedy.
He shakes his head with genuine sadness. Whoever tossed it here was a heavy smoker. The brand name reads Red Astra. Red Astra is the black market version of Astra cigarettes, known for their high tar content. You see traces of mayonnaise and ketchup on it, as well as a tomato wedge. The wrapper reads Shish Kebab Revachol. It's no older than a day or two. No mold yet. Fairweather T500. A man lies on the boardwalk, his limbs bent and neck turned at an unnatural angle. Right next to him is an empty bottle of spirits. In his cramped hand, a chewing gum wrapper. Half of his body has slipped between the cracked boardwalk, starting with the right leg. The fall has left him broken, contorted like a sad puppet.
Hold on. Lividity is faintly pronounced. Whoever this is has been dead for 2 days, no longer. We need to investigate.
Another dead body. This is your job. Steel yourself. Calm now. Carefully. Just another day. Just another dead body. Breathe. He's wearing mud-caked boots, beige trousers, and an old brown leather jacket with a bright blue lining. There are traces of kebab sauce on his chest. You find some sunflower seeds and a rain-soaked library card folded into 2. His jacket feels sodden and heavy under your hand.
Good. We should take a look at that library card after this is done.
The man has fallen through a crack in the boardwalk and hit his head against the metal bench. Coagulated blood covers his black hair. One of his feet is still dangling through the hole. You have to be quite inebriated to fall that bad. Well over a liter of pure ethanol. 3 bottles of wine or 1.5 of spirits. Or maybe it was just dark. His expression is dull, like the sea behind him. drops of water shining on his moustache. His eyes, empty and wide, look frightening in their frozen gaze. Height, 170 to 175 centimeters. Curly hair, stout build. Age, approximately 50 to 60 years. He was confused when he died. Confused and alone, most likely. Overcome with the awful surprise of it all. There's some dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty bottle lies nearby. A chewing gum wrapper is clutched in his fist. A dried chunk of blood covers the hair at the back of his head. An open wound. It's sticky and cold to your touch.
I don't see any other major wounds, do you? Seems like the head wound was fatal. It's exactly the shape of the bench.
The boards screech under the weight of the T500 ceramic sabatons. It's a good thing they're so light, because it's hard to determine whether it was the dead man's weight that caused the boardwalk to break. It definitely looks fragile. He could have easily disappeared into the sea through that hole, and you would have never found him. A .75-liter Tallulah vodka with its cap missing. There's hardly anything left inside. It's mid-market spirits, with a slight touch of menthol. The man meant to enjoy himself, have a good time.
Tear all around us. I'd prefer if you didn't collect them this time. It's not proper.
Rubowski spearmint chewing gum. Green leaves on the cover. The man's mouth is half agape from the terror of the fall. The blackness of death. Stench. You think you see white chewing gum too.
He ate the whole pack, right? It's to cover the smell of alcohol before going home. The worst thing is, I've seen it before. Almost the same scenario, even the chewing gum. It's always the same.
The entire boardwalk creaks in the wind as you take a step back.
Looks like one of the locals. He'd have to know this spot to come here. You don't just walk over here. But that's just a lazy assumption. What do you think?
At least this man knew how to party. Imagine the same scene without the bottle. Now that would be just sad.
The wedding ring. But let's try to not run ahead. For now, all we know is that he's an unidentified middle-aged man found dead on the Martinez boardwalk. Death by misadventure. He slipped and fell through the boardwalk. A truly unfortunate accident. If it wouldn't have been for that bench, he'd be alive. What about it? The deceased ate some kebab. It's probably from a nearby place, maybe in the box.
Sometimes a kebab is just a kebab.
No, I don't see anything that points in that direction. For now, let's treat this case as a simple, albeit sad, accident, unrelated to the murder case.
Yes, but what if there's a killer on the loose? 2 suspicious deaths in such a short time frame.
Without any further evidence, yes. Oh yes. Some symptoms of acute alcohol poisoning could have definitely played a role here. Severe confusion, respiratory depression, unpredictable behavior. But I think that death arrives through head trauma, not liver failure. They'll seal this place off after the news reaches the coalition officials. I doubt that they have enough resources to actually repair the boardwalk. Not that sealing it off would keep anyone away. All it does is keep the city council's hands clean. It does seem to be a pretty straightforward misadventure, although there's still a question of identifying the body. From where I stand, I can see two options. We either take the case and follow the leads to identify the body on our own, or we report back to the station and leave this for our colleagues to handle. A field autopsy isn't necessary if the cause of death doesn't appear to be criminal, and this looks like a simple accident to me. I'd say we should just write down head trauma in the autopsy report and leave it at that. It would save us at least 2 hours of unnecessary work. Good call. The guys at processing can take care of the rest. Alright, we should first examine the library card you found. Then we can call the station from my kinema. Let them know we are taking the case.
There's some tear. You pick up the handset. There's a tone. The machine is operable.
Tequila sunset.
Ah, tequila. I knew you'd come through. That's fucking great, man. What's that supposed to mean? What's that got to do with my jacket? What do I care about some local stiff? You gonna give me the jacket or no? Let me see. What? This isn't my jacket. My jacket was beautiful. This is fucking filthy. What am I supposed to do with this? I'm not taking a disgusting pile of hobo rags. I may be in an irrecoverably decaying orbit, but I've still got standards. Either bring it back the way it was before, or find a dumpster to burn it in.
You know, despite the guano, it looks like the jacket itself is stain resistant. It may just need a good scrubbing.
worn by elements, guards the depot. The wind has blown a sand...
It's military. A service depot of some sort. The washerwoman mentioned a depot up the coast. She said it was for moving ammo and cargo across the bay. This might be it.
See that seagull up there? Remind you of anybody? You and the seagull are just alike. Think about the seagull's story. It's one of endurance and adaptation. The seaside was paradise once. They were birds of that paradise. Then their paradise became shit city. And what did they do? They became urban survivors, eating burgers out of trash cans, killing and eating pigeons. No time for that sentimental bullshit. They're hustlers, getting shit done. They're one pair of track pants away from gangsters, just like you. Own it. Steal hot dogs. Shit in the sand, whatever it takes to keep going. This trap's not too hard to spot, once you know what to look for. Keeping it hidden has not been a priority for the cryptozoologist. The reeds sway in the coastal breeze. They seem to be waiting for something. The wind picks up here, near the cape's end, surrounding the narrow strip of land from 3 cardinal directions. It's cold for this time of year. Nothing but locusts in this trap as well. Definitely no cryptozoological monstrosity.
Empty as all of them. One more of these and we are done. Of course. Noted.
The waves are beginning to die down. Look at those little bastards. Simmer down. Simmer down, bastards.
Why does she care about the waves so much?
What is it with waves and fishermen? We need to be out there with them, fishing, making a living. So I asked them to accommodate me. But until that happens, I can try to assist you the best I can. So, what will it be, officer? Oh? Who? Well, how can I assist you then, officer? Oh. That's good to know, I guess. Why is it in the sea? That's great. Until then, you should maybe start thinking about the funeral.
Sire, she doth not believe it wasn't you.
Police business. I understand.
Takes you a moment, but finally you spot the last of Morel's traps. This one's partially obscured by the reeds. The reeds bend forlornly toward the sand. You see slabs of concrete north. In the east, the city center hums to you. The constant, distant song. Louder on this part of the coast, nearer somehow. And there's that cold again. Always the cold. The trap feels light and silent as you pick it up. Something is different here. No locust. No phasmid either. But still.
Well, the bait worked on something. This doesn't mean it was a reed monster, though. Unless you see one in there. I just see an empty trap. Right. Anyway, that's for the cryptozoologists to figure out now. We're not cryptozoologists. We're cops.
Rust peels off the bent iron posts of the swing. The wind whistles through the skeleton of the small house behind you. There's desolation everywhere.
In this yard?
He's assessing the situation. How long ago was it abandoned?
Someone thought they could have a summer house in a bloc obscur, for cheap. It didn't work out. They abandoned it about a decade ago. A black bloc, a part of the city left unrenovated after the war, or one that has fallen to gang violence, or has become inhospitable in some other way.
aerial photos, block obscures look like dark squares, hence their name.
Practically, it's not an official term in any way, but look around. No sewage, broken power lines, crime, drunks. Life is tough in the blocks. It's no place to build a summer house. Yes, and you picked it up because you're a post-apocalyptic scavenger who collects trash and magnesium blisters.
It's not meant as nagging, just an observation.
We should move. I don't think we will solve the murder with forays into the urban hinterland, at least in this phase of the investigation.
Shine on these sunglasses lasts a lifetime, officer. What?
That's one brutal motor carriage.
If I were a real skull now, I'd jack it, paint it in palm tree livery, then bottom light it, neon style.
A snazzy shit-ripped skullmobile like this would make a fine trophy. We could, like, hang fucking shrunken heads from the side mirrors. Cops' heads. Scary tribal shit.
Yeah, tribal shit. A cop carriage like this would have proper skull value.
While I appreciate the interest you take in my brutal motor carriage, I have to stop you right there. The RCM takes threats directed at its property seriously.
It's just theoretical work, Copper. No basis in reality. Man, if we were certified skulls right now...
Was it a good idea on the lieutenant's part to get into this? Don't even answer that. Just leave. You can always come back later, on your own terms.
I can tell you who we're not, cop. We're not snitches or skulls.
Which is not to say that the skulls are bitches and... On the contrary.
The part of this presentation you want to take home with you, cop man, is we're not part of the skulls yet.
Okay then, let's indulge in some intellectual exchange. These young men seem eager to share their beliefs. These skull people are more than an authority. They're deities.
You don't know? What kind of cop are you?
It's not a question. Don't get into it.
The question was rhetorical. The Skulls are the most vicious gang of the Besmertne.
Besmertine, or the Besmeti, the Immortals, are West River Sholian crime syndicates.
The nastiest bunch of psychos ever. Jacking carriages and getting into high-speed chases.
Possessing an infinite amount of fuck-all swagger, infamous for their non-verbal modus operandi.
If a skull spots you, he will pull out his dagger and stab you without saying a word.
The lieutenant's voice is as calm as usual, a testament to the violence and death he's witnessed through the sight of his firearm.
They usually occupy the burnt-out quarter in Jamrock, or you can find them loitering around the brightly painted bottom-lighted vehicles.
I can't wait to become a skull. Bottom lights are wretched aggressive.
Murder?
Yeah, sure. We'll gladly tell you everything we know about it. It was a man.
Also, he was hanged. He was hanged from a tree.
Yeah, I mean, duh.
These punks don't know anything. Let's just move along.
Hey, stop right there. How does one know anything?
Ah, this sounds like epistemology, a field so occupied by thought that it begins to question thought itself.
Exactly. How can one know shit? For example, how can one be sure that there truly is a body hanging behind a hostel?
What if it's art? Or just a mere specter? So what do you think we know? Oh yeah, Cindy's a right proper skull.
Yeah, a true artist of the future. Just like Arno van Eyck.
By the way, if you see Cindy, give her our regards.
For all their nihilistic posturing, these young men are not lacking in youthful idealism. The lieutenant on your left is unusually lenient toward them.
Oh man, yeah. We're not fucking kids, man.
Be wary of the abyss.
Probably because of how non-verbal their mode of operation is going to be. It's a threat. But I don't. In fact, I dislike them so much I'm willing to drag you boys back to the station just to calm myself down.
Hey, there's no need for that. We're just talking here. Joking too. Stay light, man.
Yeah. Didn't you cops, like, have some questions about skulls or some shit?
The Union does their share of policing in Martinez, at least where gangs are concerned. That's why there isn't much organized crime around here.
Apart from the unions themselves, of course.
Don't you worry about that. We're gonna make up for the deficit.
Yeah, we are. We're not franchise skulls. Well, not yet. Once we get our name out there, we'll have a chance to join them. Because we can be just as psycho and vicious. You'll see.
But in a non-threatening and definitely legal way.
Right on, fuck. So what's happening now? Mm-hmm. What about them? Well, first off, it's a statement and not necessarily something that characterizes me as a person, even though the statement has character. And I do like piss. The word piss epitomizes the struggle taking place in the world. Things being defined as they seem, not as they are. And, I guess, it's also about communal spirit, the future, and truly appreciating our differences. Also, you've got to admit, it catches the eye. And since the Grand Piper is slowly but steadily moving towards basing the economy on it, attention, it is imperative that the medium itself convey the message. What I mean by this is, we are all piss and that the world is inherently meaningless.
It seems that the young man has a certain expertise in at least one field, even if it's rather narrow.
Like I said before, many men keep searching for the one, for so-called true love, which is actually just obsession masquerading as kinship. The thrill of the chase, the hollowness that fills your chest cavity after catching it.
I'm wondering if the poetics come with the jacket, or are they derived from something else entirely?
To catch a fish, you'll need to hurl the lure many times, and even then it isn't certain that you'll get anything. If you blow up the lake, though, you get more fish in a shorter time. And, for time is of the essence and fleeting ever so quickly, one must think of a way to fuck the whole world and not get caught up in fucking someone. Because when one fucks everything, he fucks nothing. And that, to me, feels glorious. Sticking your dick into the void.
Hate to admit it, but in a weird way, he's got a point. Is it a coincidence that here we have two badass jackets and two badass cops?
Yes? What is? What are you implying? I'm not sure I understand you, Detective. Neither. Fine, if only to end this discussion. Theoretically, if I were a juvenile delinquent, if I were to already be down that path, I think peace is the stronger of the two statements. Seems about right, especially considering your heroic exit attempts.
That's an origin story for a dynamic duo right there.
So are we done here? Or... you don't need us around for your secret whisper party, do you? That ride is...
Hey, piss. Look who it is. Shrunken cophead material.
No, no, no. Don't ask anything. Be subtle and scary. The boys dream about being skulls. Use that. Suggest they're massive skulls. Come on.
What? No. Skulls don't have kings. I think. And we're not even in yet.
Yeah, man, keep your voice down. Skulls don't take it lightly when folks pretend to be them. We're not even prospects yet.
Prospect must be a hierarchical term. Probably in the lower end.
Wow, you boys are ambitious. Only prospects and already planning a coup in the skulls. You're destined to go far.
He gets it. Passive-aggressive flattery.
Shut the fuck up. Are you trying to get us killed?
Now bring it to the jackets and, yes, start shouting.
Please be quiet. What? What do you want? The jackets?
You got it. No need for cruelty.
Oh, man. Okay, I get it. Skulls don't really wear slogans anyway. This was stupid.
Fuck.
The lieutenant watches the boys take their jackets off with mild amusement.
I'm absolutely okay with not having either one, thank you. I already am expressing my individuality.
I'm not. I don't have a jacket anymore.
Good. I wanted you not to express yours.
Cold-hearted cop.
The need will not arise.
The jackets are meant to complete each other. If a man was standing alone on a street corner with his written on his back, it'd just be an individual that has taken a liking to you, right? And fuck the world all on its own is, frankly, generic.
I don't know, Eric. It's cold out.
Yeah, let's get out of here. The cops fucked us.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? One moment. Can you please describe the body? Age, sex, cause of death?
We suspect he might have been inebriated when he fell. There were bottles all around him, and traces of vomit on his shirt.
Any signs of violence? No field autopsy necessary. What about his belongings? Did you examine his clothes? Any information on the library card?
You can hear her sigh. So unprofessional of you.
Do you and Lieutenant Kitsuragi want to take the case, or should I assign it to someone else? I have assigned the case to Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi. Please follow up on this library lead to identify the man. We'll send someone to take the body to the morgue. That's all for now. Thank you for reporting in. Is there anything else I can do for you? Just a moment, officer.
10-4, come in, officer. Over. 10-4, sir, glad to hear that. I'll write down that there is no need to issue a new one to you then. Over.
Feels good to get that off your chest, right? Celebration with beer?
Then 4, sir. Sorry, but I'm under orders to give a negative to request for personal information. Over. 10-4. Anything else, sir? Over. Roger that. 10-10. Over and out.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? It will take just a moment, officer.
Her voices fade out into the familiar radio static.
Gottlieb, what do you want? Oh, it's you. Yes, there's no end to the misfortunes fate has seen fit to rain upon me. Basking in your glory, yeah? Practically drowning in it. Please, tell me what your complaint is before I am completely submerged. That's because you're hung over. Even the radio waves coming from your direction smell like liquor. Do you feel like you're out? That's the tiny vessels pulsating from high blood pressure, stupid officer. You might be sustaining permanent damage to your vision as we speak. Not much I can do about it. I'm not an eye doctor. The busy kind. It's not life-threatening, just annoying. For you. I've got more important things to do here. And you survived it. Congratulations. Are you mobile?
Sort of, but by God does it burn in your chest.
Even better. Anything else? I wouldn't worry about that. Officers your age have coronary trouble all the time. Also, death is a natural part of life.
Accept it. The body is an object, and objects break down. Do what good you can with yours, before the rest goes too.
With all the damage you've been dealing yourself with drugs and alcohol, I'm not surprised.
There is no surprise in his voice, only careless superiority.
What else? I'm not a brain doctor. Look on the bright side. You've got a whole new life now. Use it wisely.
It's hard to say if he doesn't believe you, or doesn't care.
Look, pal, getting pumped and dumped is not a disease. People live through it all the time. You should be happy for her. You must have me confused for a close personal friend. I am not. I am a medical professional with a constant idiot emergency on my hands.
One needs tending to right now, he thinks, looking around the room. God, these apes.
What? You want me to do blood work for you again? Tell you just how bad things really are across the board? You want another rundown of everything collapsing inside your body? You want the real, honest-to-God truth? Stop drinking, eat magnesium and vitamin D. Our station is not a retirement home. We don't have the funds to deal with rock stars past their prime.
The money is probably going to some old, oily...
And no, I don't want to hear a political commentary on the topic. In fact, I got work to do. Some idiot has glued his eyelids shut with cyanoacrylate. It looks like Mactorson.
It's not fucking cryoacrylate. It's superglue, Doc.
Cyanoacrylate is superglue.
Anything else I can help you with, officer? Just a second, officer. Sylvie Malaika on the line for you, officer.
Yes, hello? Oh, great. What else do you need, detective? Well, you tried to jam it down the toilet, sir, clogging it completely. After I had unclogged the toilet and retrieved the paperwork, I threw it out in the trash, thinking you didn't need it. I am sorry about that. Anything else, detective? Please, no. Not this again. Everyone saw your cool gun, detective. You were trying to impress some people with it. Everyone was eating, and...
Sounds like it's going to be bad. Do you really want to know?
You were waving it around in everyone's face, begging them to describe it. You said it calms you, and then you started making suicide jokes. It got pretty graphic.
Oh, those again. I have been trying to wean you off them. You know, when you put your gun, your actual gun, on your temple and pretend to shoot your brains out, off of that, people don't like that. I remember this. You were screaming things like, "My brains are all over the wall, painting them red. I won't be seeing it, 'cause these are my brains. I can't see without my brains." Very nice visuals there. Some poor sod was trying to eat his pudding while you were screaming, spit flying, imitating the mercy shot right next to him. Spat some in his food. I don't think he touched it after. People tried to back away from you or even slip out of the door, but you screamed, "I am the goddamned law, and you have to listen to me. You are all suspects in a murder investigation." There is silence on the other end of the line.
No idea. All I know is next you were waving around money instead, saying things like big bucks cannot lie and guns can't buy money, but money can always buy guns. It almost looked like you pawned it, but believe me, I did not ask. No, not me. What? Of course it bothered me. But I thought the Union already knew about the corpse. No one calls the police. The Union would get angry. You know, what the Union says goes. People listen to them and they take care of their own, which is like everyone here.
Garbage.
I didn't want to get in trouble with the others.
Push her further. Show her the error of her ways. No, don't push her. It sounds as if she's about to cry.
I didn't know I had to report it. I thought someone would take him down eventually.
The fucking nerves on her. Trying to hide behind weakness. You're a god. An angry but just god. You can almost hear the girl getting smaller on the other end of the line until she almost drowns in static.
No.
Seems like Glacia wasn't lying when she said it was her. This corroborates her story. She made the call.
She iseth the fairest of them all. The ugliness of lies would never escape her lips.
Okay.
You hear the call breaking up on the other end of the radio, and then the already familiar voice.
Anything else I can help you with, officer? Sure, officer. What's the number? And the make of the armor, if you know it. Got it. I'll contact the ICP database immediately. Call back tomorrow. Hopefully they'll have dug up something useful by then. No, and I doubt they'll get back to me before tomorrow morning. Anything else? 57's over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers, a radio on a hook, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheat.
I saw you poking around in Lady Driver's lorry. She in trouble? Nah, man. I was telling you the truth. I really didn't think it'd be her. She's okay. Sort of troubled, but still, a nice person.
So that's what that emotion was before. It was wishful thinking.
What else do you know about her?
Nothing. We just talked a bit. About life and stuff. She left me a key so I can park a lawyer if the jam broke. So, she in trouble or what? It's that bad. Man, what should I do? What should I do to help her? Yeah, maybe I should just keep my head down and work on my rhymes while I can.
The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm. The dented yellow mailbox greets you with its graffito and bullet holes in the front. You drop the white envelope in the darkness. It lands with a soft thud on what sounds like a couple of letters.
Let's go back to Everard. This better be worth it after what we did. Yes, for sending mail.
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People.
The library card is folded into two and still slightly wet to the touch. The front side reads, Central Jamrock Public Library Card, issued to Billy Mejean, expires July 53. Billy is a unisex name. Could be the deceased or his family member. Whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio thriller. Stand a little less between me and the sun. The last one in the list is The Glinting Curve by M. Theobald. A library stamp indicates that the book has been returned. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre. Some thrillers too. If lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 005 02 55211 or visit us at Moreau Street, 78, Jamrock. Business hours, 900 to 1800.
Good. We should give them a call from my kinema. See if we can learn anything about Billy Mejean.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out tool.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Hold on, officer. I've got Central Jamrock Public Library on the line, and I've already introduced you to their librarian. Connecting the call in 2, 1.
Yes, this is Central Jamrock Public Library here. How can I help you, officer?
He sounds worried, yet ready to assist. This is how people get when the police call.
Billy Mejean, you said. Give me a moment, I'll have to check our database.
On Moreau Drive in Central Jamrock, in a darkened hall lit by orange desk lamps far away from the noise outside, a middle-aged man taps commands into an old radio computer. A printout falls on the desk. Behind him, a lonely reader scours some dusty bookshelves, looking for a paperback.
Yes, hello, are you still there? I found Billy Majon's home address. Is that all right? No phone number, unfortunately.
They're too poor to have a phone line.
Here we go, sir. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33B, apartment number 20. It's in Martinez, I believe. Capeside Apartments, it says. That's all.
That's where the smoker on the balcony lives, isn't it?
It says here that they returned their last book just a few days ago, but I wasn't at work that day. Marie? Marie? Do you remember a reader named Billy Majon? They returned a Tybalt book the other day. Yes, it was my colleague Marie. She said that it was Billy's husband who returned the book. He also asked for this new sci-fi release, Lowe's Radio City 87, but we don't have it yet.
Good. You have a name now.
Marie knows Billy. She's been working here longer than me. Sometimes her husband returns some books for her.
And then goes for a little drink later. On the lookout.
Sorry, no. Marie only knows him by sight. Marie? She said it was an older man, and that she's pretty sure he'd had a drink or two the last time she saw him. 1 second. Sorry, Marie wasn't really paying any attention to that. Happy we could help. Goodbye, officer.
Anything else you need from me? 57.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers, a radio on a hook, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel. Snow covers the white on blue police livery of the motor carriage. Do something important? Something murder-related? There's always something important. Doesn't mean you can't take a moment to admire this piece of machinery. This is a Caprice Canema, the Caprice Motor Corps follow-up to their highly successful workhorse, Caprice 40, and the answer to the Lum's racing breed, Ferv series. With its air-cooled, rear-mounted 12-cylinder compression ignition engine, driving the rear wheels through a 4-speed manual gearbox, the Canema is able to reach 100 kilometers per hour in 13.5 seconds and go on to a top speed of 180 kilometers an hour. The high center of balance is offset by a large battery bank mounted at the bottom of the cabin, feeding all the auxiliary systems and making the Canema effectively a mobile power plant. Due to a quite steep price tag, it is very unusual to see one in police livery.
You want to take a closer look? 130.
I reckon that's a 7-liter V12 there.
.2, supercharged.
Saying these words brings him immense joy.
Yes, an extraordinary machine.
It's nice and all, but why so modest? Put some zing into it. Flare it up. Slam it down. Helium headlights would improve the range and quality of the visual field a lot. It's a bit girly right now. Fit it with some proper off-road components.
Actually, I have a pair at home. Just haven't gotten around to fitting them yet. I need to lay some wiring for the ballast first. Maybe. Yes, definitely maybe.
And means no.
You mean the coil noise? When variable current passes through wires that make up the coils on the electrical system on this machine, It causes vibration in the wires and the cores of the coils. When the frequency of the current in the coils falls within the audible range, the resulting vibration creates the whiny sound you mentioned.
What a binoclard?
I am not a binoclar. I am a driver and a police lieutenant.
Poor choice of words. Lieutenant Kitsuragi obviously doesn't want to be a binoclard.
Binoclar. Binoclar.
Whatever high school bullying memories you woke in your colleague, he doesn't enjoy them.
Maybe don't blurt out everything that pops into your head. Just some friendly advice.
The man ponders his cooking utensils and gives you a little nod, acknowledging your presence.
Hi, gendarme. Another rendezvous. Hello, hello. So what brings you here? Admiring the atmosphere. What about you, officer? Convenient. But what are you doing here? Talking to me? Oh yes, let's see. He knocked on my door a few days after the lynching. I think he was going through the entire building, asking questions. Nothing. That I didn't see anything. Why shouldn't he? What friend? No, I don't think it came up. Muscular, handsome, strong, like one of those military types. Yes, but he was speaking to someone on his earpiece. Yes, you know those tiny speaker microphones that fancy security guards sometimes wear. Just reporting back whatever I was telling him. Oh, let me think. He had an accent. He sounded like one of those mercenaries. He sounded vaguely Oranese. No, not vaguely, scratch that. He sounded definitely Oranese. Sure. Anything else on your mind? You did? And how did you like him? I told you, he can be very useful. I guess that's the charm of powerful people. A visitor from the first world. He's not like you and me, gendarme. He can always return. To his opportunities in Occident, sur la clé. Still, his coming and going brings some life to the village. Or is it just money? I don't know. Friends, I told you. Sunday friends. Friends who like to get together from time to time. That he won't be there when times get tough, I guess. It is. On Sundays. He has keys. And he likes the view. To the sea, I mean. What about me, gendarme? Bye-bye, gendarme.
Yes? What is it? Of course I'm with him. Why do you ask?
Well, he's not. He's a sack of shit barely kept together by crazy glue. But at least he tries, unlike you.
Please, let's not turn this into another exchange, okay? It means I'm a patrol officer, sir.
Again? I can't believe this.
It's great to see you again, officer. My wife can't wait to thank you. Go on, talk to her.
Boy, am I ever so grateful to you, officer. But I'm not the only one who wants to thank you.
Oh, sweetie, I don't even know how to thank you for finding my husband and helping him out. I hope we haven't been too much trouble for you. Here, I want to give you a small token of my gratitude. It's a tie, Mexican origin. The pin is an antique, quite special.
The little silvery knob holding the tie together feels warm in your hand. It's in the shape of an avian skull, with 8 eyes. You could ask her about this when you get the time. It's probably a cryptid, but the phasmid, of course, is more important.
Oh, you don't want to hear about some old woman's ramblings.
Ramblings? Nonsense. Your description of the phasmid is the most precise I've ever heard.
But, darling, I didn't even get the size of it right.
You were a child, my dear. Really. It's extraordinary what you were able to describe. Now go on. Tell our friend about it.
Reflexively, the lieutenant read his familiar notebook.
Well, it was summer. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reeds. Quite a tall one. Many times my height, I remember. When, all of a sudden... I'm getting ahead of myself. I was 5.5 in Betancourt in the suburbs. My grandmother had a summer home there.
She'd just started forming memories. Real memories. Not the billowy haze of infanthood. Betancourt got bombed in the war. It used to be quite near, circa 20 kilometers from here.
The strangest moment of my life. I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but like a living thing. It stood up and looked at me. Its body unfolded like some antique toy. I've never seen anything like it.
She had no fear, just surprise.
I didn't know this can happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. It felt just like a stalk of reed, but it moved, swaying, towering above me. After a while, 20 seconds, a minute maybe, it left, went into the reeds. I tried, but I was only a child. There was mud and high water. I couldn't see it anymore. I was just standing there, knee-deep in mud, looking around me. I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk, and told her they were looking at me. Of course, she just laughed at me, but I knew what I'd seen. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys, that sort of thing. Of course, most people just took it as a strange, amusing anecdote. So did I, honestly. But then I met Morel.
We were on a date. Can you imagine? She tells me a story, and it's the most detailed report of the Insulindian phasmid I've ever heard. The sounds. She told me it hissed.
It did, yes. Like reeds in a gust of wind.
The way it moved, the colour, how some of its limbs were white, like marble. If it weren't for Lena, I might have given up hope years ago. It's no exaggeration to say that she restored my faith in my profession.
Our first, yes.
The glance is tender, yes, but tempered by something else. A thought she can't express, even to him. Interesting.
It's hard to say how big things are when you're quite small yourself. To me, it seemed to be taller than I was then, but that's probably not the case.
Not all of them. There is some white coloration reported, along with beige, where the camouflage ends. How could she? Who imagines this? She didn't know about the phasmid. This is the main thing here, what makes it a confirmed sighting. She had no previous knowledge of the insect.
So she couldn't have made it up, or imagined it.
That's true, yes. I'm almost certain neither my mother nor my grandmother knew of it. It was only when I started telling my story as a teenager that boys would tell me, "Lena, you trying to tell us you saw the Insulindian phasmid out there in those reeds? Get out of here." They just give me a cider and ruffle my hair and tell me to stop dreaming. But I saw it.
I thought it was a wonderful story, man.
But I don't believe it. A child left unattended on a warm day. Children make up stories and then end up believing them.
You're welcome, sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it whenever I get one. It was just such an impossibly sunshiny day. So warm.
And she could get up and walk right into the reeds on her own, into the mud, anywhere. There's really no point in manipulating anyone. She'd be only too pleased to tell you about her work. Go on and ask.
Oh, I'd be delighted. Truth be told, I could really use the company too.
One cryptid, not a couple. One. This won't turn into some kind of cryptid extravaganza. And I don't. Just one.
Or he'll be disappointed in you. Ooh, tough choice there.
No, it's the cryptid. Oh, yes. The eight-eyed teratorn, the largest flying avian ever discovered, with a wingspan of 11.5 meters. It was thought to have gone extinct 3,500 years ago. Some even doubted the fossils were real. A mutation, they said. Until...
Mutation? All of evolution is a mutation.
Until it was sighted by renowned Gottwaldian explorer and naturalist Uwe Plattenkalk in 21.
This renown seems a bit dubious. Your own catalogue comes up completely empty. But, of course, you are not all-knowing.
It happened on a botanical expedition into the vast and unexplored Oamrau Canyon in southeast Ilmara. Dr. Plattenkalk got separated from his group during a sandstorm. The world's largest canyon system, sweetie. It's a barren waste east of the Erg Desert, an ancient riverbed completely dried up. Alone in the blasted desert heat, the doctor wandered eastward, where man hasn't stepped foot in over 1,000 years, since the fall of Pericarnassus. He was lost, without any navigation equipment and desperately low on water. After a day or two, he noticed a bird high in the noon sky. A great black bird. It seemed gargantuan. Every now and then, the bird would dive down to feed on an animal carcass somewhere on the horizon. But by the time Uwe got there, the Teratorn had taken off already, and the carcass was picked clean. This happened many times.
Eat the bird, Uwe. It's the only way to survive.
Yes, or rather, hunting. A bird that big has a lot of blood in it, and he was dying of thirst. For many days, Dr. Plottenkalk followed the Teratorn until they reached a great canyon wall where the bird finally landed to rest. The professor climbed up there with a rock in his hand. He found the bird sleeping with his head tucked under its wing, a great black pile of feathers on the perch. So he approached, slowly squeezing the rock in his fist. Then the Teratorn suddenly looked at him. He could see it had 8 eyes, 4 on either side of its skull, like a spider. And the man couldn't move. He was paralyzed, frozen into place with the rock in his hand. Whatever he did, he could not get close. The bird was controlling his mind. It kept him from approaching. He could step back, but every time he stepped forward, paralysis. Uwe spent 3 days trying until the bird flew away. Absolutely, sweetie. Cryptozoologists have been tracing it ever since, but Wamrau is vast, mysterious, and holds many secrets.
Modern radar telemetry shows great promise. We will confirm this one by the end of the decade, latest.
This one I liked. Not only does it have 8 eyes, and is a living fossil, and the largest bird ever to live, it also does mind control.
He's sincere. He likes the audacity of it.
Sadly, yes, but there are numerous reports of 8-eyed bird skulls from Il Mara. And then there's the striking resemblance to the Pericarnassian imperial eagle, an ancient heraldic symbol that is hard to pass off as coincidence. The imperial eagle, too, had 8 eyes.
Not really. It's just stylization. The way they drew eyes. It's not a zoological drawing.
Very, very hard.
This one's very famous. Everyone knows it. People will be looking at that tie on you and thinking, that man is into cryptids. So, what else do you want to know? That would be the giant of Kokonur. The giant lives in the most arid parts of the vast Kokonur Desert in South Samara, casting a strange light across the barren wastes. A mirage or a psychogenous luminance. No one knows for sure. It is like an awful mountain appearing from below the horizon and expanding to cover almost a third of your field of vision. The towering luminosity of Kokonur is a bad omen in local folklore. Some say it's a fata morgana, others, fate unimaginable.
Hui. No animal can be that large. It's a mirage.
That's what makes it so peculiar. A species surviving at the very limits of scientific law. The giant of Kokonur must be the largest animal the planet can support. There are limits, you see, to how large a metabolism an ecosystem can beget. Some say a gravity anomaly below the Kokonur desert might allow the creature to grow to these gargantuan sizes.
Gravity anomaly? Digging it. Digging this parascientific stuff right here.
Hey, you promised you'd only ask about one cryptid.
The lieutenant pauses, thoughtfully. Something in him breaks.
Ah, fuck it. Let's have more cryptids.
Well, the smallest cryptid is the Cryobacter catlensis, a unicellular bacterium. It was discovered in one of the northernmost points of Katla on the Boreal Plateau by renowned geologist Caitlin Mijanou some 70 years ago. Bacterial colony Mijanou found had remained alive while frozen in ice for longer than anyone could reliably estimate, certainly from before recorded history. Mijanou disappeared shortly after injecting herself with the bacteria she had brought back to study, no doubt in hopes of prolonging her own life. Yes, the bacteria had survived in the ice since times immemorial. It is not hard to see where she could have gotten the idea.
It's actually a little hard to see, but do go on.
Yes, and she's quite mad, too. After she treated herself with the bacteria, she stopped aging, but also became increasingly eccentric and irascible, so that even her oldest friends were forced to pull away. We can assume that she has been living somewhere in the wilderness for decades now, all alone except for the Cryobacter catlensis coursing through her bloodstream. The gnome of Jeroma. Oh, it is. None of its victims survived. Grieving relatives never even found their bodies because the gnome's venom dissolved organic tissue. It was reportedly a small creature with webbed fingers and a protruding forehead and a ungainly little thing. Quite scary to look at. A couple of campers found it when it was already dying. They heard an odd wailing in the woods and followed the sound. They were scared and wrapped it in tarpaulin to suffocate it. It still took the gnome of Jeroma an entire day to die.
If the body of the creature was found, why aren't there detailed illustrations of it in science textbooks, confirming the existence of this very little species?
Alas, the first scientist who got his hands on the creature's corpse put it in a jar of formaldehyde, thinking that would detoxify the gnome's venom. Instead, all the venom leaked out of the creature's teeth and into the surrounding liquid, dissolving the creature itself. A poetic end, perhaps, but a real loss for science.
Alas, always alas, and then it was gone. Isn't that overly convenient?
I understand your skepticism, but that's what happens with things that are rare and stand out. Their disappearance is most memorable, and they are least likely to be found again. Yes, it's the kind green ape, half war story, half undiscovered species in the genus Homo. Yes, it was reported by soldiers in South Safra during the war. The kind green ape would visit bunkers during the night, healing wounded soldiers with its saliva. Yes, it has amazing healing qualities. Some soldiers reported growing back limbs, regaining their sight. Indeed, there is. It's our closest relative among the cryptids. Same taxonomic family, different genus. Which is to say, the kind green ape is a species with which we share a common ancestor and that evolved parallel to our own, just like your partners.
I'm beginning to wonder if I should.
Please don't misunderstand me, either of you. I didn't mean to imply that Saolites are inferior to us. In many ways, you are superior. For example, your earwax doesn't have a foul odor like ours does.
A tremendous evolutionary advantage, I'm sure. But perhaps we've had enough speculative biology for today?
What an interesting question. And the answer is yes, there are.
Of course. All fairy tales have someone or something invisible in them. Okay, I won't spoil your fun. What is the invisible cryptid?
It's the Col de Mama d'Aqua. Its name means thin whisper of sound, and that's precisely what it is. Self-replicating sound waves, invisible and intangible. The Col de Mama is very afraid of us, which makes it incredibly difficult to track.
Col de Mama d'Aqua can also be translated as a whisper light and low.
It could be. As I said, it could be everywhere. And we wouldn't know any better. It could be ringing all the days of our lives and nights.
Maybe it's predatory.
It's not. Don't worry. If it were predatory, we would have found it by the damage it inflicts.
I wouldn't be so sure. What if the damage is also invisible?
Plenty. It's the evidence that led to its discovery. In the 1920s, a group of Areopagi ornithologists, that is, scientists who study birds, were trying out a new recording technology for capturing sounds outside the range of human hearing. When playing back recordings they had made in the foothills of the Ea mountain range, they noticed certain anomalies, patterns that seemed random at first, but on closer examination were consistent with the waveforms of songbirds. The scientists soon discovered they could track and even predict what appeared to be feeding, mating, and migration patterns based on sound waves in a strictly delimited range of ultrasonic frequencies, even higher than those of the highest-pitched bat calls. They realized that they had discovered a new species and called it the Coldamamadaqua, after the Paracanassian name for the voice of God, which is said to be very silent. They grew quite obsessed with these little birds. Even though they couldn't see them, they could distinguish among individual birds and even began to name some of them. Sequester, Time, Joscan, those are but some of the Mamadaqua they followed individually. That is a sad story. A group of university students assisting with the field work in their enthusiasm for the project, and no doubt because they were preoccupied with impressing their professors, nearly drove it to extinction. They tried to communicate with it and had no other means but sound. So they started sending out sound waves at frequencies they thought might match the Mamadaquas. And what happens when a sound wave meets another sound wave of the same frequency, dear?
Psst. They cancel each other out. Psst.
Exactly. And these tests were performed so recklessly that when they happened upon the right frequency, well, they wiped out most of the population.
Great regret washes over her, a wending cloth.
After that, the corpuscle appears to have migrated elsewhere. There have been recordings of anomalies similar to those spotted in Ea, but they've been few and far between. It's impossible to confirm the presence of any stable Coldamamadaqua population anywhere.
Of course. A common thread in these. Disappearance and unfalsifiability. I like the story, though, ma'am.
I'm glad you did, dear. Yes, that's another translation. They're both quite lovely, aren't they? Although the low part is a little ironic. The Coldamamadaqua makes, or rather is, such a high-pitched sound that other animals, including humans, can't hear it. It could be everywhere all of the time, and we wouldn't know.
Fine, I'll bite. How can an animal be a sound?
Many scientists have asked the same question. Some have claimed that it isn't itself a sound, but a tiny corpuscle that emits sound waves. But there's no evidence to support this theory. What about what? I'm glad you like them, but I'm not really one to tell you about all of them. You should ask my husband if you get the chance. He's the real expert.